I trust that all of us who are committed to Jesus here this evening do realize that we face enemies. What we're going to deal with, in essence, is two kingdoms, two opposing kingdoms that are at war with one another. But they're not natural kingdoms, but they are invisible spiritual kingdoms. One is the kingdom of God, and the other is the kingdom of Satan. The demons, invisible spirit beings, represent the kingdom of Satan. Jesus, and then those who are his servants and follow his ministry, represent the kingdom of God. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. We are dealing with persons, but they are persons without bodies, spirit beings. It's a highly organized kingdom. And we have here a little interesting picture of how Satan's kingdom operates. We have the human ruler, but behind him in the unseen realm, we have the satanic ruler, and in a sense the human ruler is really not much more than a puppet who moves as the strings from the unseen realm dictate his moves. Again, we see that human rulers and human commanders don't operate in a vacuum on their own. Behind them are unseen angelic forces, both divine and satanic. The angels of God strengthen those rulers and men who will forward the purposes of God on earth. The angels of Satan resist those men. That's a very major reason why Christians should pray for the rulers of their nations. If it's possible, they should inhibit the activity of satanic angels and release the activity of God's angels. Those who are in God's kingdom know whom they are serving. Those who are in Satan's kingdom, most of them do not even know whom they are serving, nor do they know what they are actually doing. When you begin to see these truths, history and politics take on a very different meaning. I think many so-called great men of history were simply satanic puppets who were moved by invisible strings from the kingdom of Satan to do the things they did. Now, Satan also has a lower, shall we say, stratum of his kingdom on earth. And again, the key word that describes those over whom he rules on earth is the word rebel. Anyone who is in rebellion against God automatically comes under the control of Satan. Lots of churchgoers are still rebels. And as rebels, they are actually being controlled by Satan. Humanity on earth, all human rebels, regardless of their race or their denominational label, unless they are truly submitted to Jesus Christ, God's appointed ruler, are rebels, and Satan, by spiritual power, controls them. He beholds every high thing, he's extremely proud, and he is king over all the children of pride. That's Satan. Wherever pride enters the human heart, pride brings us under the control of Satan. And unless we have a heart that is truly submitted and surrendered to God through Jesus Christ, we can use all sorts of nice religious language and lay claim to all sorts of titles, but the fact is, we are under the King Leviathan, because he's king over all the children of pride. He has two main ambitions: to dominate the whole human race, and his second purpose is to receive worship. You see, he laid claim to equality with God, but was disqualified. But he hasn't given up the claim. And there's one way he can still assert the claim. What is that? By receiving worship. Because worship is due only to God. So whenever Satan receives worship, he's saying, there you are, you see, I'm still God. And when you really analyze everything that Satan does, his ultimate purpose is to receive the worship of the whole human race. Lucifer was responsible for orchestrating the worship of heaven. I think it's important to know that Satan, as he is today, knows a lot about music, and he uses music as one of his means to captivate people. Satan and his angels in the heavens were, I believe, the gods of paganism. All gods recognized and worshipped by all pagan societies and races are just different ways of describing Satan and his angels. So ultimately, witchcraft as a religious practice is an expression of man's rebellion against God. Witchcraft is the natural religion of fallen man, and it permeates the whole human race. Zeus, Hermes, Poseidon, all the Greek gods that I used to know so much about, just different labels for satanic angels. And I'm inclined to believe each religious group or cult or sect had a particular ruler over it. And as you look through all the cultures of human race, you see different titles, the same beings. And when they worship, what are they worshiping? Satan and his angels. And the last thing I want to say, and it's important, is in our days, witchcraft is making a determined comeback.